Upon launching the Reckless AI Predict product suite, you will see several dials and you'll see two buttons are enabled there, the Select button and the New button. These allow you to either select a project you're already working on or create a new one. Let's select a project here. It's a traffic light project. You'll see that some of the dials have now been updated. At this point, with this project, we've only really completed a little bit of the survey. So let's take a look at the survey. We've completed the required inputs. The required inputs are used by several of the Reckless AI components, such as the defect prediction and the downtime and failure rate predictions. The product information is used exclusively by the Software FMEA program, and the failure modes questions are also used by the Software FMEA and the edge case prediction component. All the other tabs are used by the risk identification and the defect prediction modules. You can see there's questions about the customer. If you tab over any of the questions, it will give you guidance on how to answer the questions. There's questions about inherent risk. Inherent risks are things that make the defect density and the risk worse, not better. There's questions about your personnel, in particular their experience with the industry that they're developing software for. There's questions about planning. Execution does not mean the execution of the software. It means the execution of the project, the management. So for example, using agile development techniques would be an execution type question. There are questions about the software requirements. These apply whether you're using agile development or not agile development. So they could pertain to story points as well as traditional software requirements. We have activities, which is what people do to develop the requirements. We have fault tolerance that pertains to how fault tolerant the specifications are. We have the content. This is actually what kind of requirements do we have? And then we have metrics. In this particular case, what fraction of the requirements are changing during development? For design, we have a similar setup. We have activities, content, fault tolerance, and metrics, just like we do for requirements. Design here will be largely the things that are in your MBSE tools. We have the same structure for the code. The coding activities, the criteria, those would be things you see in coding standards. Is there requirements for fault tolerance in the coding standards? And then some statistics about the coding. Unit testing, this is with regards to the testing done by the developers. Again, we see activities. Are they testing for fault tolerance? What are they testing? Then we have similar structure for the system level testing that is done once all the units are tested. Again, we have activities. What are people doing? What's in the plan? What's in the procedures? Are there fault tolerant tests being done? Are they testing the GUI, assuming that there is a GUI? And are they doing regression testing, and how are they doing that? Then we have questions about corrective action. How are defects being corrected and tracked? Configuration management. How is the software as well as the corresponding artifacts, how are they being controlled with changes? We have questions about how defects are being tracked. Questions about reliability engineering, if there is any reliability engineering practices. We also have questions about software quality assurance and what they might be doing or not doing. And then finally, the software development process. As you complete some of these questions, you'll see the dials changing here. One thing to point out, there's many questions here. It is not the goal to answer all of the questions. That is not a goal. We have a machine learning model, and it will make a prediction with whatever you know and whatever you can answer. If you do not know the answer to a question, in this particular case we have several unknowns here, the model just simply ignores that input. So there's no negative consequences for not answering a question. It should also be pointed out that each question has a different weighting, and in fact it's different in every context. This is a machine learning model, so it's not just looking at each question individually, it's looking at how you answered the whole collection, and it's finding the closest pattern. In the next module, we will go over how these questions predict risk.